Hi, everyone. Welcome to our podcast episode today of CT Tech Talks. We have our West Coast Director of Channel Sales, as well as our Mountain Rockies Channel Director, Adam, and as well as one of our solution architects over on the West Coast, Geronimo. So I'm just going to jump into it, let them take over and get started. And let's hear a little bit more about what you guys are seeing in the channel so far this year in 2024 on where we see the industry going. Chris, can you give us a quick introduction?
Sure, of course. Chris Lee, Channel Director here on the West Coast, as well as Asia Pac. Some of the things I've seen so far is that we're seeing more competition in the team space for sure. But I believe that, from a call tower perspective, we're still doing very well. And the reason being is actually we have the meta switch in place to allow us the failover capability and also providing other ancillary services as well, including failover. I think the biggest key here for a lot of our partners, and they really understand, is that because of that meta switch in place, we're able to really transition accounts from existing premise to the cloud at the customer's own pace versus a total rip and replace. So we can actually do that over time. So kudos to CallTower on that piece of the pie. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, and
Adam,
I would say seeing the same thing. I think CallTower was a little bit ahead of the bell curve for a lot of the early adopters to Teams. I think now we're starting to see a lot of the larger organizations that are on that legacy on-prem equipment, the call managers, Mitel, ShoreTel, Avaya, et cetera, really starting to consider moving to Teams and to the cloud and to Cisco WebEx calling in the cloud as well. But I think most of them are really looking for a partner that can provide them with guidance on simplifying that transition from the cloud. As Chris mentioned, there's a couple different techniques we can use here at CallTower to help with that. But yeah, definitely seeing some of the larger deals come in, starting to see a lot more on the international side. And I think we did a great job capturing the early adopters. And I think now a lot of the bigger, slower moving organizations are starting to make that transition as well.
Yeah. What I've been seeing probably in the last year is really Cisco stepping up their game, right? They lost a lot of market share to Microsoft Teams, and now they're adding those features and functionalities and just really trying to throw punches with Microsoft, right? So I'm really excited about their CX essentials, right? So adding that contact center light, right? Adding SMS into their WebEx platform, right? That has been what we're seeing here at CallTower, a lot more of these opportunities. Obviously, Microsoft had made some great announcements, right? They talked about their SBA, or the Survivable Branch Appliance for Teams, which is something that's really been missing, right? They're enforcing that solution. The queuing app that they just mentioned in Enterprise Connect is something that I'm excited about as well. So lots of great things for both Cisco and Microsoft. I see a big uptick on Cisco WebEx calling this year.
Awesome. Thanks, Geronimo. And Chris and Adam, from a partner standpoint, what are you guys hearing from your partners that customers want? What is the direction things are going? What platforms are selling?
Well, I mean, from my partners, I believe Teams is still doing really well, but they are also now looking at Cisco WebEx calling as well. So I see a big uptick in that space as well. Of course, Zoom is following right behind that, of course. But again, I think from a Cisco perspective, kind of piggyback on what Geronimo just said, we do see bigger potential, bigger opportunities, especially with the VAR community. We're doing a lot of Cisco call path model, right? The CCP model. So that's really an uptick in business as well. So I think, again, overall, Cisco is slowly making its way back up to the top of the chart here.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's still Microsoft Teams, although Cisco WebEx calling is making an impact. But there's just so much adoption with Teams for presence from a chat standpoint. A lot of companies just want to find out how to enhance that Teams experience more. And a lot of times that's by adding the calling piece of it. I think an interesting addition, which we're getting a lot of questions on, revolves around Copilot and what the impact it has within Teams. So not only from a meeting standpoint, but also from a PSTN connectivity standpoint, how does it impact the phone itself? So a lot of questions on that. For me personally, it's still Microsoft Teams, but the AI component's interesting, right? As it's now being pulled into the different phone systems that we see, and Copilot being one of the big ones there.
And Geronimo, from a technical standpoint, when it comes to AI, when it comes to Copilot, what goes into all those? Who should, what kind of partners, what kind of verticals should be looking to utilize those kind of features?
I wouldn't tie it to just one specific vertical. I mean, if you're just trying to provide improved productivity, whether it's retail or financial, right? It's Copilot is a fantastic tool to make you more essential. I mean, I use it in my emails. I use it for PowerPoint. I use it just to look up specific information on learning new technologies, right? So what are the different types of SSO applications? Who are the different identity providers? Copilot really, again, is not going to fly the plane for you. It's your Copilot, right? It's a tool that you can use, but it's going to make you more productive, I think, in any vertical that you have today.
And Chris and Adam, speaking of verticals, where are you guys? I know we've been seeing some GCC high deals come in. What verticals are you guys seeing the biggest wins with partners?
For me, it's been financial, a lot of banks, right? A lot of technical companies as well, tech companies. I think they've done really well in this space as well. So those are the two for me.
Yeah, and I would say from my standpoint, a lot of bigger deals on the GCC high side. As a lot of these on-prem systems are coming end of life, a lot of these entities are trying to understand what their options are. Again, they have some of that adoption on the team side, so does it make sense to jump into the GCC high side? A lot more on the manufacturing side now that Teams has additional flexibility to handle SIP accounts and even more hybrid type of deployment. So sometimes one size doesn't always fit all. It may be a deployment for Teams with some of the users, and maybe it might be a hybrid deployment with Cisco for some analog devices or for a manufacturing environment. The reality is CallTower can tie those two systems together under a single deployment, and I think that's one of the big advantages we have out there.
Is there anything else you want to touch on CallTower, cloud communication wise, that you guys are looking forward to over 2024?
I would just say the expansion of our international offering. I think that's going to go a long way. We productized gateways as a service for those countries where it's really hard to get connectivity. Being a part of Operator Connect within EMEA and soon to be Asia Pac, I think watching the international growth and expansion from a CallTower standpoint, whether that platform Zoom or Cisco or Teams, that's what I'm most excited for, is seeing the impact that we have there.
I agree with Adam 100%. I think that's really what I'm looking forward to, as well as the international expansion and growth. So.
Yeah, I would also, kind of jump on that one as well. With managed gateways is what really got me excited, was the ability to do, managed services in countries that are closed. But I think there's also potential for things like doing SRST. Again, don't quote me on this, but we're doing SRST, supporting small branch appliance, right? And even doing redundancy on Zoom as well, right? With local redundancy. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining, and thanks everyone that watched and tuned in.